In high school, it was football, basketball, then lacrosse. Um,
3 seasons. Yeah, that's great.
oh yeah, yep. I was a pretty good football player. I was decent at basketball. I was kind of like the first guy off the bench. I was the hype man that would come in and just play defense and shoot the three ball
Shoot the
from the
J.
corner. Yeah,
Shoot it.
kind of like a Kyle Korver, if you will. You guys know who he is, Mike Miller.
Championship. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was there a strength conditioning program early on within the high school, or did you follow something, and like how does it progress to what you do
yeah.
now?
We lifted as a football team. I'm pretty sure. I didn't really get serious about strength and conditioning until my senior year of high school, where um, my junior year of basketball season, we were like 6-20. We were not good, and they changed the head coach. And I decided my senior year not to play basketball. I was already committed to UNC. I really wanted to again dive into getting a little bit bigger and faster. So I started training with a guy named Jay Dyer,
Yeah.
who is
He's
probably like he's the guy in the lacrosse strength and conditioning program. He's trained the national teams, men's and women's. Um, he's an awesome guy. He's got such a great dry sense of humor, and his stuff is really challenging. So he kind of like as he was like growing and getting big, and he also is the strength and conditioning coach at Johns Hopkins. So like I was training with him maybe 3 times a week. I was throwing up multiple times after workouts. And I really learned about what it's like to push yourself to those places. And I'm really grateful for that time because, you know, I think a lot of young athletes don't know how much is inside them until they get pushed, to a certain degree. And it was some of his workouts were designed that way to just, okay, we're going to push you. We're going to see how far you can go, do 100 pull-ups and do 100 dips as fast as you can. Put the treadmill on 12 incline and 12 speed and run for as long as you can. Stuff like that. So obviously physically I was growing, but I also grew up here. And I would like to say that, my mental game is strong. It's definitely grown. And it's something that you can't neglect as an athlete. You can't try to just, go through the motions and not address the conversations that you're having with yourself or not read. There's so much knowledge out there to read about the mental side of sports. It's really something that I've enjoyed as I've grown as an athlete.
Yeah, growing up in Texas football, we started weightlifting. Seventh grade was our first formal. And then when I was introduced to lacrosse at 16, it was just our football players getting together and playing football with sticks. And then going to college on the East Coast, Marymount University,
Yep.
Stallings and and I was the only person that lifted. We had a Smith machine in our fitness center.
Which is actually the hallmark of every good fitness program is a Smith machine.
Well, for getting a pump, but not training for
Yeah,
athleticism.
well, I mean, but it helps you squat without hurting yourself.
That's a whole different conversation. But we were able to get our assistant coach also coached high school in the community, so we were able to get some just thrown, discarded weightlifting equipment and got a squat rack in there. But still, it was pulling guys in to introduce them to the barbell as a player who was, unbeknownst to me, actually coaching weightlifting at the time. But man, there was not a weightlifting culture within lacrosse from that window of experience that I had. And I mean, as connected as the weight room is to football in Texas, I'd never experienced that on that East Coast. But I mean, we didn't get a lot of multi-sport kids through my school.
Why is that? I mean, it is strength conditioning and just being like, performance training not big in lacrosse because it's always been thought of as more of like a club sport, something that people play in a rotation.
Yeah. My answer to that would be football is a game of like your body. Like you're either blocking somebody or you're tackling somebody or you're trying to like run through somebody. Like you need to have muscle to be a football player. You don't need that to be a good lacrosse player. You need a great stick to be a great lacrosse player. If you can handle your stick better and you can throw passes here and you can shoot the ball here, you don't really need to, have that physicality element to your game. Some guys now, again, that's kind of like the old way to view it. Like we don't need to lift. Lacrosse is more of a running sport, but that's why it's really hard to find legit like strength and conditioning programs for lacrosse, because you either have the football regiment, which is let's put 500 pounds on our back and squat and let's bench press. But like, how am I applying those? Or you have the element of like, I have to be able to run 5 miles, like how do I train for that? So it's tough to train for it. You want the mass, you want to be physical, you want to be strong, but you also have to train the cardio element of it too. Cause I was wearing a Whoop last summer for our games. And I think I was wearing a Garmin GPS tracker, and I was averaging like 4.5 miles a game. And I play attack, so I'm only on like one half the field. So some of the midfielders are running probably, I would imagine, close to 6-7 miles. So it's tough to train for. And I just think now as we push forward, and again, we're legitimizing the sport, like guys are no longer just like showing up and playing. I think 10 years ago, you would see guys that would just like, not train in the off season and just like were skilled enough to play. Now with higher salaries, better benefits, guys, it's cutthroat, and there's only 8 teams. Like there's a lot of really, really good players that are not going to be playing professional field lacrosse this summer, and it's kind of the harsh reality. And I have a lot of motivating factors. That's definitely one of them. I want to continue to see my career out, and I know the younger generation is better.
I'm going back. I'm a loaded freight train and I'm right on track.